DuckTales, Season 3, Episode 5, Louie's 11.
Because every show has to have the obligatory heist episode.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there was only one of the three triplets that was going to be the heist baron.
Heister. Yeah. Well, technically too, because Dewey's like, I know how to do it, and he actually did.
But it was still his plan. But and I find it funny also that Huey is left completely out of this, except for the forging.
Well, yeah.
It's like,
great. My scheme wouldn't have worked without you. Wait, scheme?
yeah.
Don't think about it.
It's like, because you know he would be going, this is a dumb idea. This is a dumb idea. Why are you doing this? This is a dumb idea.
Wrong. This is wrong.
Yeah,
this is wrong.
This is wrong. Don't do it. It's a dumb idea. Stop. And they weren't about to be stopped by, somebody with common sense.
I don't even think he would have said it's a dumb idea. I think he would have said, this is illegal. We shouldn't do this.
Yeah. But given that it was illegal, therefore dumb, and therefore, that would be how his head would work. But yeah.
Hey, I mean, at least the earbuds didn't explode.
True. That's probably why he took it out so soon. It's like, yeah, I'm going to go dark now because I don't want my ears to explode.
Yeah. Oh, and also this episode, we also got our finally in season 3 we're adding Daisy.
Yeah.
Who can somehow understand Donald.
Hey, they're like the perfect couple.
See past his voice.
They're like the most perfect couple ever.
Yeah.
And we're probably not going to see any more of her.
Well, probably not for a while. It's going to be one of those where they introduce her, and then they go on a bunch of other adventures, and then she pops up somewhere else. Probably in a first date situation where the triplets are trying to make Donald's life better, but they end up just complicating it more. and she was surprisingly calm when he never mentioned that they were his nephews, and she's like, "You have kids?" Surprisingly calm for that. Like, well, technically. Well, at this point, I mean, give the parental rights could go back to mom, and then he's free. He cares about the kids, but he could go out on his own and do stuff.
Well, I mean, technically, he really once they moved in with Scrooge, they were he was kind of free at that point.
Yeah, but from a legal obligation sort of situation, because he probably just adopted the kids. And that,
true.
So the kids are his responsibility. Now, he can leave them with Scrooge for a time, but, Scrooge and Beakley, but in the end, they were his responsibility. And now that Della's back in the picture, she can take responsibility back and retake the parental thing because they thought she was dead. So they can just go, oh yeah, no, this is simple enough. She thought she was dead. She's back now. She's taking custody of the kids. Donald, you have no more obligation legally. Now, from a family perspective, yes, he's still their uncle and he still loves them very much. But if he wants to go on that cruise, they're not his responsibility to take care of anymore. If he wanted to go on a cruise, not a big deal because,
Well, I mean, go on a cruise and not end up on the moon.
Yeah, exactly. He wanted to actually go on a cruise, then yes, he could actually go out on that cruise and not have to worry about the kids aren't, he's leaving them with somebody who isn't their parent. He's like, no, I'm literally leaving them with their mother. Like, they're not my responsibility anymore. Like, I love them and I want to take care of them, but they're not my responsibility. But yeah, I suspect we'll see Daisy again when Donald tries to go on a date, but the triplets, they love Donald so much that they want to help him out. And so they try and help him out. They end up making it work.
They've already done that though with
yeah, but but this time it's with Donald, so it's a different sort of feel to it. They'll do it a slightly different way, but it'll be the same idea. And then, if they're running low on ideas, that's what they'll go to, and and that's or maybe instead of all three, it's just one of them trying to do something like Dewey or something. Dewey and Webby are trying to help Donald, and so they end up getting into wacky hijinks.
Webby would be a total shipper then, because she was also in there with Gandra.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm yeah, okay, yeah. But yeah, I'm thinking like, yeah, if it may not be Louie, it may not be Huey, because they may be thinking more. They may think more, okay, remember what happened last time? I'm not gonna bother. I'm not gonna.
Well, Louie didn't know what happened last time.
You just made me think of something. Do you think Della had to sign a bunch of paperwork saying, "Hey, I'm not dead"?
Yes, I would imagine that the lawyers and it was not an insubstantial amount of time to get her to get her realived.
There actually is paperwork and stuff for that to prove you're not dead.
Yeah.
Today I found out actually covered that.
Ah, very good. Well, is there paperwork to prove that I'm not alive?
Yes, it's called
so the government will stop bothering me.
It's called a death certificate.
Oh, where can I get one of those without actually dying?
A really unscrupulous medical examiner.
Though you won't be able to you won't be able to vote, you won't be able to do any sort of government activity because they think you're dead.
You also won't be able to get a job. You won't be able to.
Okay, so I get it. What I have to do is become a doctor and write my own death certificate.
You wouldn't be able to be a doctor.
You would then be how could they would the people would look at that as a little bit of a huh? So the doctor wrote his own death certificate. Now, I'm not a big city lawyer, but something doesn't smell right here.
There was an episode of Diary of River Song where it was a time travel thing, and it was an assisted suicide planet where you filled out where you wanted, what way you wanted to die, and they had all sorts of ways, like the classic Grim Reaper. They had a fight a dragon in a heroic battle to the death type thing, all sorts of stuff.
Screw that, where can I find this planet?
And then, you lived out that fantasy and then died because they'd kill you. And when you're filling out the paperwork, you fill out your own death certificate, and then they send you, back in time, like a week or so before. So you die, and then your death certificate's already signed by you.
Cool.
But
I just thought that was cool.
But yeah, I think it would have to be something like that, or there's some other hijinks happening at the same time. Donald and Daisy are trying to have a date, and it like maybe not them necessarily interfering with the date, but like they were doing something else
Yeah.
in the same
It
area,
wouldn't
and
be
it just keeps crossing over.
it
Yeah.
wouldn't be the triplets. It would be an interfering sister. Ooh, you
It
got
would
a
be Della.
girlfriend. So when's your date? When's your date? When's your date?
Yeah, definitely Della.
It'd be Della.
Yeah, well, yeah, somebody, well, yeah, there might be some interference from Della, but like the whole interference is not intentional. It's just sort of, oh yeah, they're doing something else. They're chasing something else, and it's like, Dewey, what are you doing here? And it ends up,
That
causing all sorts of havoc. And occasionally
that
Donald
was
has to kind of
um,
save them from
ever.
something
that,
surreptitiously.
was, that was the worst Donald
I know it
ever.
was. That's why I don't usually do like untested, uh, untested
Hey,
impersonations.
that's why I wouldn't do Donald. Plus, corkscrews.
Yeah, I'd have to work that out. It'd be something with a something like that. Something like that. Yeah, that was a little better, but there was no talking to it. So
Yeah, I can't talk with it. I can only make the sound.
He can only. You guys can only shout at it.
I mean, probably if I had practice, I could, but
yeah, I'd
yeah,
have to
that's
practice, and I haven't.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, I suspect next time we get Daisy will be something like that. There'll be something going on concurrently that keeps making the thing a mess, but Daisy will find it charming.
Yeah. And Donald's there apologizing profusely. She's like, "Oh, but that's so sweet."
Yeah. It's just like she completely gets him, and it's like, oh, okay. Are you sure you're not a crazy person? Because this whole family, it's just like if you want to eventually marry into this family, just notice Donald's like tip of the iceberg. Like he's a
yeah.
relatively.
I'm the normal one.
She has the Donald rage already, so I think she fits in.
Yeah, it's like his bit is the rage. Other than his rage, other than his temper, he's
And his
actually
voice.
fairly normal. Outside of his temper, he's actually a fairly stable, normal duck. But
Well, and my question is, what happened? He was coherent and legible when he was a kid in that Christmas flashback, and then
something happened wrong when
when
his
Della
voice
vanished, she
dropped.
took up smoking.
I think when his voice dropped, something happened that wasn't very helpful.
his voice cracked, and it just never stopped.
Yeah, it messed up, and it just never really fixed itself. Though it would be a funny thing, and I don't think they would do it, but kind of an interesting thing would be, because they've already messed with time travel enough. If they went back and with them, like, say, he got hit in the throat with a frisbee or something, and that messed up his voice, like, they go back in time and catch the frisbee, but don't realize that fixed Donald's voice for the rest of his life. And then you go back to the future, and it's like Donald is massively successful because people can actually understand what he's saying.
Temper.
Yeah, less temper because people can actually understand what he's saying.
True,
Yeah.
but that's not all the cause of a temper.
Yeah, well, it was one of the major things he was complaining about. Nobody understands me. Who guess? Because they can't understand you because you the way you talk. And so,
Well, also a big source of his rage was His
Was
kids.
yeah, was Della. But I think if he was, if he was doing better and was understood and everything, I think it wouldn't have put as much stress on him. I think he could have handled the stress a little better. Not that he would have been
I found that
perfect, but he
funny.
would have handled the stress a little better because he could at least talk to
Just
somebody
give
about
him a mermaid. Just give him a mermaid tail, and he's all cool.
it.
I,
But then don't tell him
I
his
found that
famous
funny. It's
chili
like,
is only
Yeah,
average.
no, it's on the chili though.
I found that funny. It's like, wait, you have kids?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was so, huh? She wasn't like
It's like,
shocked or annoyed. She
then
was
it's
like,
like,
oh,
that's really like, damn, he's probably married.
yeah.
To be fair, they were in a life or death situation. Well, not a life or death situation, but a hostage situation at that point.
Yeah.
So she didn't have time to dwell on it. She's like,
Yeah.
wait,
Yeah, but she was still rolling
Yeah.
with the punches better than I think a lot of people would.
oh, I'm sure after the fact there would be some discussion.
Yeah, and there would be a lot of no,
Or
nephews. Long story, but their mother was stuck on the moon for like a decade, and she finally came back.
and
You
then
know the moon invasion that happened? You remember that? Yeah, that was the moon trying to invade Earth. There are people on the moon. How did you survive without oxygen? Oxygen gum.
Oxy Chew.
Just like seriously, if you start
It
questioning
tastes
stuff now,
terrible.
it's never gonna end. But she was on the moon for a decade. She left just after she had the kids. Went up there, got stuck on the moon. 10 years, she's back, and so yeah, nephews. Took care of him for 10 years, but nephews. What happened to their father? Oh, nobody knows that.
Well, you see, some ducks self-reproduce.
No, they don't. I don't think so.
Well, they also don't talk, so
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a bridge too far.
Right.
They don't want to ever.
Those are-
That would be an interesting thing, like, with like DuckTales, like reboot. They have gone back and talked about Della. They actually brought Della back. Like, we didn't know what happened to her. Well, she was stuck on the moon for 10 years. Okay, so what? So we now know what happened to Della. They actually covered a question that was never really answered in the past. Like, where's their mother?
in the comics, I think.
Well, it was never really it was never really addressed in the show, like, properly. Yeah. So in this show, they addressed what happened to Della. So now, we have that addressed. Who knows? In a season or two, they might start to address who's dad.
or they might address the dad in the next reboot.
Yeah, they keep Della and everything the same, but then they now we're gonna actually talk about their dad and why he's not in the picture and where he was for a decade.
The term is, "Oops, who's your daddy?"
Well, we don't know. Like, the only one in, like, I know why the question hasn't been asked, but it seems like that would be a question you would ask. Like, if their mother coming back, it's like Donald may not have known. You could understand Donald not knowing if it was sort of it was her own thing and she didn't talk about it. I mean, it would be rare that you would get to the point where you would have kids with somebody, but you wouldn't have told your family, but
unless you didn't.
Okay. I know who their father is.
Launchpad.
It's Glum Gold.
Oh God.
Oh no.
It makes perfect sense.
That is That is reboot X-Files crap right there, okay? No.
I mean, think about it. Of
No.
course, you would never want to tell them about their father.
No.
You told me enough. You told me.
It's
No,
bad enough they
I am
the
your
X-Files.
father.
No. It's Darth Vader.
What?
It's Darth Vader. Instead of twins, it was triplets.
Just I can't get the image of Glomgold.
Skywalker.
No, I am your father. Just can't get that out of my head. It's so stupid.
Like,
Their father was named Anakin Skyfeather.
no.
Well, they do own the Disney franchise now, so they can do whatever they want.
Oh,
They
God,
can
no.
easily get away with that. What are they going to do? Sue themselves?
Oh, God, no.
I mean, Louie already is involved with wearing those masks. The robotic mask.
So I have
Thing.
I have to ask, but was I the only one when I saw her? Was like, yeah, that's Mark Peake's mom.
No, I
No,
totally,
that was a left field thing, but it makes too much sense.
It wasn't for me because they're
yeah. As soon
the
as
same bird.
yeah, I'm like, as soon as I saw her, I'm like, dude, is that Mark Beeks in drag?
I mean,
Yeah,
I
I was giving the show more credit than that, but after
I
it
wouldn't be
did it, I was like,
surprised.
that makes too much sense.
I was not surprised at all.
Like once it was there, it's like that's too much sense. But I wasn't really looking for who could his mother who could be related to him. I wasn't really looking for that. I was like, I was also
wasn't
watching it
even
on like 1.25 speed, so.
I wasn't even questioning it. That was the thing. I was just like, she's related to Mark Beeks.
And that guy's like, wait, you're the buyer. Damn it.
And you, Dooford. Hey, the name's Turbo now. You owe
You 10 years of Turbo. It wasn't a great Power Rangers series. I mean, it was a bit goofy, and the kid was a little annoying, but
yeah.
Cross media reference.
By a little annoying, you mean he was
Just trying to be nice about it.
Plus they didn't have any of the OGs, so I was done by then. I watched the movie,
Yeah.
but that's the extent of it.
Yeah, once Billy was my
Billy
here's the
was
door.
my A, okay? Like Billy and Trini was literally my OTP.
Yeah, it's like once Billy was gone, it was just like
shit.
I don't care anymore.
Billy and Trini was my shit before ships were a thing.
But anyway, back on the topic. Yeah, I didn't look for that, so I wasn't even thinking about it. I was like, oh, okay, some,
I wasn't looking for it. It just was. It.
Well, I don't watch TV that way necessarily. I don't go, who's that? It's like, it's not.
It was just like they slapped you in the face with it.
No, they didn't.
It's like.
Because there's loads of birds in the city. She didn't have to be Mark Beeks' mom.
Man,
there's lots of birds in the city.
Yes,
because they're species. That's could have been somebody from their same species. They didn't have to have anything to do with Mark Meeks.
Are you saying? Okay, so basically, are you saying that all people of a specific ethnicity look the same?
On this cartoon, I'm saying
No.
that these species have a
They
similar shape. They have a similar color pattern. They're all going to look very similar and similar enough that any one of them could be the parent of any other. Are you telling me that Donald couldn't be the parent? Now he's obviously related, but you know, he couldn't be the
They're
parent of the
Okay.
couldn't oh, what was his name? You know, any of the ducks we've hit over the year, they couldn't be the kids' parents?
Okay,
Because we don't
First of all, we don't know what kind of family the McDuck family is, so very well
they're
could
probably
be.
a Peking duck. I think Peking, or so, it was a, I forget what the name was exactly. I think it was Peking or something like that. The people have looked at it and said, no, they're probably this kind of duck.
No,
Okay, so
Webby at least is officially a Peking duck, according to the website.
Yeah, which they
So
all
what
look like Peking
the others?
ducks. I mean, you're saying that Webby doesn't look like, you know, you couldn't say, oh, Donald could be Webby's parent.
For all we know, he could be, because we do not know about her parents.
Yeah, but see, exactly. But he
Although
could
that
be any of the ducks could be her parents. Like any of the sort of McDuck clan, Duck clan, those types could have been her parents. So they all kind of look alike. Like there's not enough facial differences because of the way the beaks are done, the way that everything is drawn. They can't. If as long as they stick to the same species, they could be
yeah,
anybody. They could be related. They could be not related. You don't know.
this is one of the more distinct ones.
Yes, but we don't know if there's not 50 other of these types of bird out there. Like they could be using the species, but not for Mark Beaks.
Yes.
Okay.
Mark
There's
Beaks
a
did.
rule in cartoons you need to know.
I know,
Unless
reserving detail. I know what you're going for, but that doesn't necessarily have to hold every time.
Okay,
that
first,
wasn't what I was gonna say.
pigeons are a lot more distinct than that. So, and
Oh,
he's a pigeon. So
this
they
is
could
pointless.
be
We're just going around in circles. Okay? She
Yeah,
didn't
you
have
both
to
have
be.
no idea what you're talking
She
about.
could be.
Anyway, let's skip this.
At least they had Jane back, or Janae, as Webby called her. Janae, it's Jane. And that assassin chick from the first episode.
And also the undersea thing with Glomgold.
That's what I'm talking about. That was the first
Okay,
episode.
first one. I thought maybe she appeared in the first episode somehow. I don't remember her.
No,
Maybe.
not of the season.
Yeah, I
That
was
was
like,
the very episode.
but anyway.
She was. I love that knife. Oh, thanks. It's the only connection I have to who my mother to the location of my mother. I'm gonna kick your ass anyway. Although I do find it kind of badass for Webby, but sad for all of these serious assassin types. They
Yeah.
all got asses kicked by a little girl.
Yes, but you know, to be fair, she's part of, you know, Scrooge
Her
McDuck's
mother,
sort of entourage, so
her grandmother's a spy.
her grandmother's a spy. I'm not a spy. And you
There's
know,
a
she hangs out with the McDuck clan, so it's like
twist. She is related to Scrooge.
what?
No, there's a twist. Webby is related to Scrooge. She doesn't look much like her grandmother.
Well, we don't know. And, you know, we don't know anything about her parents, so we have no idea what the relationship is. Because we don't know what the Vanderquack relationship is, I don't think. Unless there's some obscure family tree that introduces how the Vanderquacks are related to the McDucks and the Duck Clan. Because we at least have with her, we have a unique last name. It's Vanderquack. So, you know, we know that that's, you know, somewhere. You know, that somebody's got that name. And so we just don't know.
I was just making a joke about earlier.
Oh. My brain's not on this morning.
I can tell.
Have some coffee.
No, I don't drink coffee.
I drink tea, so I hear you. I tried coffee the other day because I just gotten a unit cup, so I'm like, I'm gonna have coffee in this, and then I'm like,
No, I'm not gonna have coffee in this.
yeah, I'm like, I tried. I'm like, no, I'm not.
But still, yeah. Well, yeah, you bring up a point.
Really
But
just
distantly related, she could be. You know, so I mean, play right in my point. But you couldn't see that she was related to Scrooge? Just slapping you in the face. That pops up later. But yeah, I
He's
mean,
she's not Uncle Scrooge. He's Grandpa Scrooge. Dun dun.
he had a slight
Back.
he had a little something with
Beakley.
Beakley. Yeah, he had a little something go on with Beakley in the past, and some indiscretions were had, and her parents were born. One of her parents was born. Otherwise, not parents, because that's getting into a whole nother territory.
Oh yeah.
Because if it was parents, whew, but yeah, parent, yes.
Her mother.
Yeah.
It would have had to be her mother because her father would have had to been Vanderquack. Because her grandmother is, so her mother would be Beakley. Maiden name.
Yeah, and so it would be her father is a Vanderquack of some sort.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Which just sounds like a posh name.
Oh yes, the Chelsea Vanderquacks.
I still say her parents were spies too.
Or they are spies.
Oh, definitely.
They're
or
active
they are
spies. They're active spies, and they leave her with Beakley because they know putting her with Beakley and Scrooge is the safest place they can put her while they go off and save the world. But what would be really funny is they have they're spies, but they're not like the fighting kind of spies. They're really boring spies. Like they're
or
really
they could
like
do the
paper
trope
pushing.
where you find out that they're actually hippies.
Well, I mean, Beakley did have that time in the 60s.
Yeah.
Operation Flower Power.
Yeah, and her parents just never left.
Yeah. But I'm thinking like the way it would be funniest would be if they're spies, so they got the cool job title, but they're like infiltrators, and the way they do spying is they take all of like the records and such and slowly like feed them back to their government and going, yes, I'm
deep cover.
Yeah, they're deep cover spies, do really boring accounting jobs, but the accounting is really helpful for info because you can see where the money is flowing, and you're basically being handed, yes, this is how their secret budgets are being spent.
Most spies actually do lead very boring jobs.
Yeah, but I'm like, for Beakley, compared to Beakley, Beakley is
Yeah, compared to
Beakley was a very exciting, action-packed, punch it up sort of spy. It'd be really funny if her parent and Webby is super punch it up action sort of thing. It'd be really funny if her parents are like actually like more realistic spies and they're just really boring. But they
I
have
would love it one day they one or all of the triplets ask Webby about her parents because it's like, well, we know about our mom. Our mom is back, and you helped us find our mom. So can't we help you find your parents? It's like, oh no, I know where they are. It's
yeah,
like, wait, what?
they're spies.
I'm sorry. I mean, how long ago? It's like, well, they've been in Quackistan for like the past 8 years. It's like, wait, what? Oh yeah, my parents are spies.
Yeah. But they're
That
like
makes
not the
so much
really
sense.
cool spies like Granny. They're like really
No,
boring spies.
you wouldn't even say that because to her,
Yeah, it would still be spies, it'd still be exciting, but like you mean they're always
she
like fighting things? Like, no, they take pictures of like budgets and such. It's like still important and they're still spies. But they're not
but
like
no, she wouldn't even do that. She'd be like, they're spies.
yeah, just
You mean
leave it
like
at
your
that.
granny? No, oh no, they're the smart spies, like Huey type spies, where they just infiltrate and chill.
Okay, so I just thought of something
What?
about Miss Beakley.
What?
What if Miss Beakley was actually tasked to watch over the Duck family because she got info that that one group was going to attack them?
No, she was tasked to watch over the Duck family because Scrooge was kind of a showboat, and she was there to rein him in.
But what if that's the cover story?
No, that's the official story.
Damn.
According to the episode with the gummy berry juice. Something about Agent 22. I forget the title of the episode because I never pay attention to the titles of the episodes. But when Webby and Scrooge went on that adventure together to rescue Mrs. Beakley, they showed flashbacks of when Mrs. Beakley was in Webby's place. Well, technically, Mrs. Beakley was in Scrooge's place and Scrooge was in Webby's place.
But
And when Scrooge shush. And it said at the end that she was his cleaner, basically. If you've seen Blacklist, she was basically Mr. Kaplan.
she's a cleaner in more ways than one.
Yes, she's basically Scrooge's Mr. Kaplan.
Lovely.
Actually, that analogy really works. Disturbingly.
But yeah, I'm yeah. If we're talking, just gonna continue to talk about geology. Yeah, I think her parents being spies makes makes a little too much sense. But the really just for the fun of it, just really boring spies.
They're just
Like
the
well, they're a different type of spy. I won't seem to say boring, but they're a very different type of spy than Beakley. They're infiltrators rather than, kung fu action, gadgets, and James Bond. They're the actual, like, more realistic spies.
They're the kind of spies that you find at embassies.
Yeah, it's somebody that you don't expect to be a spy. Like they're intentionally like they're not they're not James Bond. They're infiltrators. They're sneaky. They don't they don't they don't give off a lot of action, but they quietly do a lot of work.
They seem to me to be the very nerdy type.
Well, it
Like,
seems, but we don't even know that they exist at this point.
either that or they're dead.
Yeah, it's like
Or
that would be the
if
thing I
you
would think,
have
because if they were gone this
Fowl,
long without them coming back to see her, they have to have a reason to do that. Like Della was on the moon, fairly good excuse.
or they were kidnapped by Fowl.
They were what?
Kidnapped by Fowl.
Kidnapped by Fowl, possibly, but yeah, I think,
Or dun, dun, they're part of Fowl.
but they're double agents. That would be the best way to the two things. There's two ways that I think would be really nice to have them do it. It's like they're either like sort of the more smart infiltrate, extract information type spies that you never know are spies because they retire from whatever agency they're infiltrated with on a pension, and you never find out that they're spies until after they've died of natural causes of old age, that sort of thing. Or they're the type that they've infiltrated Foul, became are double agents, and they think, and so when the time is right, they turn on them. Like, Webby is really shocked to see her parents working for Fowl, but then when Fowl least suspects it, they turn on them. And but then again, if they knew it was they would have to go under false names, and they would have to really cover their tracks to get into Fowl, because they know the Vanderquack, Beakley and Vanderquacks, are related, and they're attached to Scrooge, and so they wouldn't, unless they were, you had some other way of trying to turn them triple agent or something. It's like it'd be really hard for them particularly to infiltrate. They'd have to be
Okay, but
very.
could you imagine if you like infiltrate an enemy base as a double agent and do so good that they make you the leader? It's like
I'm sure
I
that
think there have been stories like that before.
yeah.
I didn't think I'd get this far.
There had to have definitely been one in some cartoon somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure in real life there's people who have risen up the ranks far more than they intended to. It's like, no, I just want to be a low level, don't notice me functionary who's just quietly sending off these papers off to my government.
you just try to like mess up on everything so you stay low level, but you just keep on doing good. It's like, God damn it.
Like when you tried to fail, you failed, but in trying to fail you actually succeeded, and they figured out something else, and it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna promote you. You now have extra clearance. You have another level of clearance you're free to. Well, I guess
it's like you try. It's like you.
If you get to that point, you can still you can use that status to destabilize the enemy organization.
Yeah,
it's like you try to trip the bad guy,
and
but
also
the good guy.
It makes you, if you're like a supervisor for a section or something, and it's your job to hire new people, you just hire the spies. You just hire more spies for yourself, and it's like, and you slowly whittle out all the non-spies, and then suddenly your entire section is just a section of spies that are just sending things back, and they're getting loads of experience and ranking up inside the organization, so they can transfer into other parts of the organization, because like, oh yeah, he's really good, he's in that section, let's transfer him over here. Well, now you've planted another spy seed over in another section, he rises up the ranks, and then they just start infiltrating and building up through the ranks.
It's suddenly quiet.
What? Lou?
Okay. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear
Dex.
you.
Let me message him.
I can hear you.
Okay. It just suddenly went quiet.
Okay.
Well,
who can you not hear?
Oh, it's trying to reconnect right now. I don't know what the deal was, but I'm still recording, I think.
Okay, so it's just on your end because the live stream went offline. I thought YouTube booted us again.
No, everything's fine. Nope, it's going green again. No, just a temporary break in the stream because I don't know. Like my internet,
Internet
I think's
troubles, I
fine because
guess.
I'm hearing you guys. I was hearing you guys fine the whole time.
Oh, weird.
No, when I'm like, Hydra did that, suddenly silence for a few seconds. I'm like, it wasn't that shocking. That happened all the way in what was it? Which one was it? It wasn't Civil War.
It was probably Winter Soldier.
Probably. I don't even remember anymore. There have been so many.
but
There has. Truly.
yeah,
I'm not even like I am afraid to try the rewatch. Like I'm gonna rewatch it because no, that'd be way too much. This is why I'm not never going to start Supernatural because I'm like I gotta watch from the first to the last. That's gonna be too much work.
yeah.
That's too much effort.
And it's a lot of Scooby Doo in the first bits. Not like
Yeah,
not like straight up Scooby Doo, but like
although
the
there
Scooby
were
Doo movies where they have the real monsters. It's like it's very
well, I
Scooby Doo
mean,
in that.
we're,
But
there
like
were episodes where Scooby Doo actually was in it,
yeah, I know.
and it
That's what
and
that's
Velma was played by Kate McCucci.
but yeah, I know, and that's kind of that was kind of the point. Was that it was like yeah, because it's sort of like there's some grand game like War of Heaven and Hell sort of situations in that show that like things get a lot more intense, but a lot of times it's just sort of a Scooby Doo Monster of
I
the Week sort of situation.
I know vaguely about it because I role play and I interact with a lot of people who role play that show.
Mm.
But and also I was looking at Kate McCucci's IMDb and I'm like, oh, she was in that as Velma. Okay.
Well, anyway, I think we've definitely dived way off topic of Louie's 11 here, talking about
Yeah.
the genealogy of a bunch of cartoon birds. But um, anything else we want to say about this?
Nope, I got nothing.
Alright.
What's the organization who does bird watching again?
The Audubon Society.
Yeah.
Them, yeah. We're just, the Cartoon Audubon Society.